Welcome to the Seven Figure Leaders podcast. This podcast was created to celebrate the success stories of seven-figure business owners, giving them a platform to share their insights and lessons learned in order to inspire other business owners. As well as that, it's an opportunity to build new connections. So if you're a seven-figure business owner or someone who works with seven-figure business owners and you're looking for introductions to potential stakeholders, strategic partners and clients, I'd love to hear from you or have you on as a guest and see if I can help make those connections for you. Just go to synergycfosolutions.co. That's synergycfosolutions.co and click podcast. And there you'll find the link to apply. Today we've got Keir Shave from Parallel Partnerships. Welcome, Keir.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, looking forward to having a proper chat, Tom. I've seen a couple of the clips and looking forward to getting into it.
Good to have you here. So why don't you give us a little bit of background as to who you are and what you do? Based on your bio, I was really excited to have you here and very impressive.
100%. It's a pretty unique story to give you the insight. So I own Parallel Partnerships. We're a sales and marketing business. So we typically help sort of ambitious business to business clients generate more appointments typically. I've got a team of just under 40 here in Leeds, and we spend our time sort of opening doors on behalf of our clients, lots of different industries, lots of different verticals, but predominantly the focus is opening doors for businesses to sell their products or their services easier. We've been going a year and a half, pretty unique story, which we might get into. And it's really exciting times for the sales world over here.
Okay. So when you say opening doors, what does that mean? Booking an appointment for the sales team of your clients?
Correct. So we'll work with our client. They'll let us know the types of businesses that they want to be in front of. That might be certain sales sizes of business. It might be certain industries. Then they'll let us know the information that they want to find out before going into the meeting so that they understand it's a good quality opportunity, really. And then that's how my guys then sort of make their work and they do their business is they'll go out, they'll call businesses typically. They'll act as if they're an internal salesperson for our clients, and it'll be their job to book a meeting either online or face to face for our client to further discuss their product or their service. It's a real sort of leg grunt work type work that we do, and we save business owners and directors a load of time and hassle of doing the sales process.
Yeah, and is it cold calling? Is that the method?
Predominantly cold calling. Occasionally clients will come to us with, say, leads, which they'll want us to follow up with or chase, but predominantly it's cold calling. So a lot of fun and games with gatekeepers and sort of navigating your way past those and getting told to go away sometimes. But it's, I guess it's all part and parcel of sales.
That's all part of the fun, isn't it? So, and any particular sector you work with or focus on?
Predominantly B2B, and it's predominantly sort of ambitious growing businesses. They don't have to necessarily be massive corporations. We do work with a few bigger companies, but we typically look to work with companies that have just got a good product or a good service. And I know that might seem silly, but we've been approached over our time with some weird and some wacky products and services, and it's just not something that we like to take on because it'd just be tough for the salespeople selling something that's got no end product. So it's always something that's a good product or a good service that could help either people or businesses that are out there.
Okay, all makes sense. And so just to be a bit more clear then, what would it work for and what wouldn't it work for? So for anyone listening, who's unsure, for example, whether it might work for what they're doing.
100%. Well, we typically, with our approach, will focus on a problem sort of led approach in terms of our cold calls will be all about finding issues or problems in their current setup that our client's product or service can fix. So I would say that the campaigns and the clients and the companies that shouldn't work with us would be ones that potentially don't have a strong USP or don't fix an actual problem. So if you have got this weird and wacky product or service, make sure that there is actually a market out there for that, because otherwise it is going to be hard from a cold call perspective to open doors if there's not those doors to be opening with. Weirdest example I can give you, we had a weird, it's really strange to this day, but we had a company that had developed a vaccine, but specifically for chickens. And I don't know if it even had regulatory passes or anything. And they wanted us to, I think it was book appointments or something like that with farms in Australia, which is a really, really rogue one. But yeah, clearly that is a rather niche product that, well, yeah, probably probably wasn't even legal. So we turned that one away.
Fair enough. And so, again, without naming
Mhm.
any specific clients, but what are the industries that you are working with at the moment, or products that you're working with at the moment?
We do a lot in workwear. Workwear is a pretty good one for us. So high vis, PPE, so on. It tends to be really strong. We do a lot of software as well. So companies that have got a clever bit of software, whether that be a CRM, whether that be a case management software, all sorts of different softwares, and everyone likes to demo and everyone likes to look at something new. So if it's a new tech or a new software, tends to work pretty well over here because yeah, it's good to get people having a look at new exciting products.
Yeah, definitely. And is it generally something that works best where you've got clients or prospects who are problem aware, that they're aware that they have a problem?
Sales, in my opinion, is all about making sure people sort of uncover their problem. It's not about getting people to have a problem that they don't have. So of course, if they've got a problem and they know they've got a problem, that makes our lives easier because they'll be more open about it. But from our perspective, even if they're not aware of the problem, we will typically ask all sorts of different questions and sort of get into a conversation where maybe in the back of their head they realize that actually they might have XYZ problem, and that's typically what we'll then dig into. We sort of try and almost act as doctors, try and they'll come to us with an issue, or we'll come to them, should I say, with an issue, and it's our job to provide a solution to that issue. But some people sometimes don't realize they've got it,
Uh-huh.
and so that's where the questions come in to get them to realize.
Yeah, definitely. And so obviously you've been running the business a year and a half, grown to 40 staff in that time, which is very impressive. So firstly, congratulations. But why don't you give us a bit of background as to what you were doing prior to that and how you landed on, this idea, and then we can go into the journey you've been on in the last year and a half specifically.
So all of my sort of working career, I've always been in the sales world. I love the challenge. I love the gamification of it. Even when you are getting rejection, you can still turn that into a game. Try and keep them on the phone as long as possible, type of thing. So I've always really, really enjoyed sales, and so I used to work for a business within the same space, so within the same industry, so an outsourced sales business. I worked there for about 6, 7 years. I was a non-sharing director there. But the beginning of March last year, they sent myself and all 300 staff an email saying, "We've gone into administration. Don't come in tomorrow," in slightly more professional terms, which was really shocking. Clearly, getting an email at 10 p.m. is never nice. Um, but I saw it as a bit of an opportunity. I'd worked really hard to create some great relationships with staff members that I'd been, managing and looking after for years at that point, but also with clients that again I'd developed and nurtured for a long period of time. So I then set up Parallel. We were live calling in 3 days, so it was a very quick turnaround. And yeah, here we are today. We've grown fast, but sustainable growth, which is the key thing. And yeah, if I'm being honest, I would never sort of badmouth the previous employer. And I know it sounds maybe silly hearing what you've just heard in terms of, just getting an email and that being that. But without that journey and without what I was taught and without the experience I developed there, well, I probably wouldn't be here today. So yeah, really, really grateful of that opportunity. And it's turned out luckily to have a silver lining within that email.
Definitely. Well, yeah, you certainly used the problem and spun it around into something positive.
Talking
And
about problem.
so, sorry.
Talking about problems, there we are. There's a problem, and we've spun it to find a solution.
Yeah, yeah. So tell us a bit about kind of obviously the journey you went on from those early days, where I'm guessing you were doing the calling yourself, and how you grew quickly up to the point you are now, where you got 40 staff.
Well, to be fair, don't get me wrong. I've really, really have worked really hard for a long period of time now, and plan to still continue to work extremely hard, if not harder. But there was an element of luck to it, if I'm honest, in terms of at the start, I had developed good relationship with clients, so some of them did continue with us, but through this business, if that makes sense. So there was an element of sort of luck in that way. Obviously, I do think you make your own luck in life, but there was an element of luck, definitely. However, yeah, a lot of hard work, a lot of long hours, early mornings, late evenings has, I think, really helped to get to where we're at now. And also a great team. You know, I had a lot of people that sort of started with me. So we started with about 8 or 9 staff. That believed in me, believed in what what we could have done. They'd received the same email. They could have quite easily just gone and found another job and somewhere else that was maybe a more set up business. And they believed in me, believed in our abilities to turn it into a business. And again, without them, we wouldn't be here. But yeah, definitely a lot of hard work and definitely a lot of late nights. I'm just lucky I've still got my hair, if I'm honest. I thought I'd have lost it by now from pure stress. But yeah, luckily we're still here and okay.
Brilliant. So one of the problems I often
Mm.
help my clients work around is hiring, and obviously every hire you make is essentially an investment in a person, an investment in the business,
Yep.
and every investment you need to have the objective that it's going to have a positive payoff at some point. And so, how did you make those investments when you were in those early stages? Did you have like an injection of capital, or was are people on commission structures, or like what did you do to kind of get around that potential
Well,
capital issue?
luckily I was pretty good with my money back at my previous employer in terms of I know I'm young, but I wasn't ever really one of those that would go out every single weekend and, spend their paycheck every single month type of thing. So I was lucky in terms of I was pretty good with my money and being an on sharing director there again, I was earning a decent amount for the period of time I was at. So I had a good amount of cash saved up. So I actually set the business up entirely myself. I didn't raise any investment or anything like that. And so yeah, it was a case of picking the right people. I developed good relationships with a lot of my team. I obviously couldn't take everyone on board immediately because we weren't in that position to do so, but I sort of hand selected the best people that I could that I knew would A, trust me, but also B, I'd trust them in order for them to do the job. And yeah, it's paid off. We've all worked really hard and we've still got a lot to go. No one's perfect, but we're in a much better position now, for example, than we were when we got that email, definitely.
Absolutely. So you were able to start with a decent team, and then you also had a number of clients that came over with you. So you were able to start from a pretty solid position, really.
Yeah, 100%. We started from a good position, and then my role at the previous employer, and it had been new business anyway. So I was responsible for bringing in the new clients, but also then looking after them and the teams as they came in. So my understanding of the whole business model was pretty strong, bar the sort of what I call boring back end. And you're going to hate me to say this, but the admin and the finance and the IT, I had a good understanding of the people and the process. So it was just a case of me sort of learning almost on the job the other stuff. And again, luckily, it's sort of been okay so far.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. And so, what are the other kind of main challenges that you face in getting to the stage you're at now?
I'd say the main challenge has been myself and the control element. I really do care for my business. I do see it as my baby. And so, for a period of time, it was quite hard probably for me to relinquish control and sort of give people other tasks and so on because yeah, I wanted to make sure I got it right. And what I've learned is that that's physically not possible. You'll end up dead. So I luckily now have got, a couple of sort of senior managers, a few team leaders and so on that help me out on a day-to-day basis, meaning that, yeah, I'm not finishing at 10 p.m. anymore, which is great. It's now 8 p.m. So I get a nice early night sometimes. But yeah, I think the key thing is realizing you can't do everything and other people can really care for your business too and to believe in them and to give them that power to do so and I think that's what's really sort of helped the business especially in the last sort of 5 6 months is me letting people do more things.
It sounds like you've transitioned from being the one that does the work into presumably leading a team, and then also then delegating to team leaders who are then going to be responsible for the people on the phones. And
That
so, what's your job in the business at the moment?
So my job at the moment is to still focus a good chunk of my time on the new business side of things. We are currently going through a large internal promotion where a couple of people potentially are going to be promoted to be generating new business for the business, like I originally started years ago at the previous employer. That seems to have gone really well. We're doing a trial week, as a matter of fact, with a couple of people this week, and they're all scoring some good scores. So that's good. So my overall move at the moment is to focus more on the business rather than in it. For a long period of time, I'd say, probably self-employed, and that was about it. Whereas now I'm focusing on more so still elements of new business, but more so where the business is going. We're looking into expanding office space either where we're currently at or potentially moving elsewhere. We're looking into potentially opening up other channels. So instead of just pure cold telemarketing, we're looking into sort of potentially opening an inbound customer service arm. So there's lots of sort of moving parts which we're aiming towards now, which is sort of my focus on.
And how do you actually get your own clients?
How do we get, sorry, what?
How do you get your own clients?
Traditionally, prior to this move that I just mentioned, we have got majority of our work through word of mouth referral. We were never in a position where we wanted to scale super big immediately and it become unsustainable. So we were sort of picking and choosing the right people that typically came to us. But now, like I mentioned, I've got a couple of the team that are going to be starting to book appointments for myself to sort of take over. And so that should really catapult the business because I don't have the time for the consistent outbound that is required for something like this. Whereas these guys have worked really hard and, are now going to start to do so and reap the rewards themselves as well as the business. So, yeah, really, it should be all growth for the next few months, which is what we're hoping.
Uh-huh. And have you tried outbound, as in cold calling, to get
Yeah,
clients?
that's what we I used to, again, previous outfit, I used to do a lot of that. Obviously, since setting up my business, there's been less time to do so because you've got to be so consistent. But that's what the two people that are doing their sort of trial week this week are doing, is they are generating meetings purely through cold outbound for companies that might need to, telemarketing and might need parallels. So that seems to have gone really well. One person in particular has booked 9 meetings in 3 days. So that's pretty good. So yeah, if we keep at that rate, we'll be doubling in size.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's say you could wave that magic wand. What would your business look like in, say, 3 years?
3 years. Bigger office, first of all, much nicer, bigger office. I really want to have a strong management team, potentially some other people potentially on the board in terms of directors. I want to be around 100 staff, and I want to have a customer service arm. So sort of an inbound call handling customer service arm. Hopefully get one of the big boys. So if Sky or O2 or anyone like that's listening, please do reach out. We'll do our very best. We'll probably be better than your inbound switchboard at the moment. Jesus, they're awful to get hold of. But yeah, that's really one of the key focuses, is that inbound customer service arm. I think it would be brilliant to work with one of the big companies in that world,
And why do you want inbound customer service?
because I believe that as long as you're doing a good job, and this will be an issue now for us, what I'm about to say, because we're trying to now win them as a client. But as long as you're doing a good job, I think they'll stick with you for a long period of time. So your client sort of retention will be through the roof because, if say a Sky did come on board, they're not going to want one person. They're probably going to want a team of 20, 30, 40 even. And the thought of them switching that 20, 30 or 40 to a different provider, it's a big job. So you'd hope that as long as you were doing a good job, and I know we would, that you'd have them for a very long time, which is clearly good for the business.
So it's so that you can retain your clients for longer. Yeah, good. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And it also just gives more opportunities for the internal guys here. If we did have a team of 20, for example, on a Sky or an O2, well, then it gives opportunities for team leaders, managers, and so on. And so it creates further opportunity for them to earn extra cash and extra promotions too.
Definitely. And what do you think might stop you from getting to that, the hundred employees, the multiple divisions?
It's going to sound really egotistical, probably a little bit self-centered, but nothing. I think we're really on that path. I think we are really focusing on growth and the right growth. I'm investing in the right people and the right sort of setups our side to help us get to that point. So no, I'm going to think positively. Nothing.
All right, brilliant. And so for anyone listening to this who's thought, I need to have a chat with Keir, I need to learn more about how this cold calling works, whether it's going to work for my business, or maybe they've got some things in their sales process that are broken and they need a bit of your
Yeah.
help. What should they do? We'll make it very easy for them to contact you, but anything you want to kind of give away, any training or anything like that?
Definitely. In terms of sales in general, especially cold calling, I think consistency is the most important. So if you want to work with us, 100% feel free to reach out to us on LinkedIn or any of the other details that we shared around. But what I would say first is try it yourselves. Make sure that you understand how hard it is, so that then when you do come to a company that can actually do it and do it well, like us, then you understand that, and you understand that it's not a tap that you turn on and next week you're sitting in Bali, you're drinking pina coladas, and we've done everything. That's not unfortunately how it works. So yeah, try it yourself, be consistent with it. And then if you're still struggling and you still need some external support that can get rid of all of that headache, that doesn't mean you've got to have a big sales team that's going to cause you a load of hassle, and you just want more opportunities to do what you're good at, then 100% come to us, as you'll be in good hands.
Perfect. All right, Keir. Well, pleasure to have you on. Thank you very much for sharing, and very exciting to hear about your business and the growth journey you've been on, and excited to, see the growth that you go on over the next few years. So wishing you the best of luck.
Thank you very much, Tom. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for listening. As I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, this podcast was created to celebrate the success stories of seven-figure business owners, giving them a platform to share their insights and lessons learned in order to inspire other business owners. As well as that, it's an opportunity to build new connections. So if you're a seven-figure business owner or someone who works with seven-figure business owners and you're looking for introductions to potential stakeholders, strategic partners and clients, I'd love to hear from you or have you on as a guest and see if I can help make those connections for you. Just go to synergycfosolutions.co. That's synergycfosolutions.co and click podcast. On that page, you'll find the link to apply.